Radio Show.
Of course, man, it is DJ Wado. It's the Radar Radio Show. It's more than music, it's ministry. And I got a good friend, for real, on the line with us, man. He's hilarious, comedian extraordinaire, man, all the way from Jacksonville, Florida. A-Train, man. What's up, brother?
What's going on, DJ Wado? What's up, my brother?
Hey, man, it's good for us to finally get one of these in, man. I'm chilling, though.
Well, that's good. It's finally, I feel good knowing that you think about the little people. Thank you for slowing your world down to come and holler at little old me. How about
man,
that?
Here you go, talk about this little people business and all these stages you done been on this past year or two, brother. I think you might be over humbling yourself right now, brother.
No, man, it's good. It's good to catch up with you again, man. I think the last time we were together, shucks, it was a year ago or something.
We was getting some chicken and waffles, brother.
Yeah, man. Yeah. I was in town doing the show at New York Comedy Club, 4th of July weekend.
Yeah.
And you hooked up with your boy and showed me the city. Showed me all where the good spots were. You know what I mean?
Yeah, got some of that good Amy Roof's 116th Street in Harlem.
Oh, Lord. I was full as a tick, man. I was full as a tick when I left there. Yeah.
Yeah, bro. Yeah,
up.
Man.
So it's good seeing you again, man. I mean, good being with you again, man. Good hearing your voice, brother.
Always, man. Always. Man, me and you have had this conversation. Actually, we had this conversation on the radio one time. I'm actually thinking about this. But it's a talk that we have a lot in Christian rap, and it's the whole, are you a Christian rapper? Are you a Christian that raps?
Oh.
You know what I'm saying? And
yeah.
I think a lot of people in our community think this is only a conversation that we have in the community. And you hit me to the game that, nah, man, this is a conversation that even you guys have in the comedy world as well.
Right. Because there is a market out there that consists of Christian comedians.
Yep.
And they're doing their things, based on, their convictions and all of that. And It's cool, man. And there's a place for it in the kingdom, and there's a group of people that can be reached through that avenue. And then you have, those of us out there on the level doing it, the way that I'm doing it, which is, it's like all of our paraphernalia is stripped off. All of our Christian decals are like stripped.
Yep.
But we're on the front lines. It's just like being in the military, man, being on the battlefield, where versus being in boot camp, you got your boots shined up, you got your shirt in line with your belt buckle, you got your ribbons on, you know what I'm saying? You got your pendants on. I mean, you looking the part. Yeah. But out on the battlefield, the most dangerous warrior on the battlefield isn't the guy that's dressed up like his platoon, but it's the dude who's laid out camouflage right at the enemy's footstep, and the enemy don't even see him, and I use that analogy, to demonstrate that pretty much sums up the path that, that I'm on, man. I realized, all of this word for decades, growing up in ministry and serving in ministry, I realized that all of that stuff was an anchor and a foundation, not for other people, but it was an anchor and a foundation for me.
Yep. Because the
surroundings and the environment that I'm in, all of that right there, brother, it keeps me focused.
Sure.
It keeps me anchored. I've never smoked or drank anything in my entire life. I'm 40 years old.
Wow.
I grew up in the hood. Yeah, I grew up in the hood, man. I saw what that stuff do to people. I have family members, that are victims of that, abuse or what have you. And I made a decision as a jit, like, nah, I ain't doing that. And then, as I got older and my walk, in Christ or whatever began to manifest, well, that decision just anchored even the more. So, but I say all of that to say, not to toot my own horn, but to show you how the path that I'm on really makes sense, and I see where I was being prepared for it long before I stepped into it. Because when I'm in these clubs, I'm in these comedy clubs, man, and we all know most comedians, man, they're gonna be hit by three things, one of three things: that liquor, drugs, or the women. And every time I perform, my wife is with me, man. I don't smoke, I don't drink, so that's not a footing that's even going to appeal to me. You know what I mean?
Yep.
I keep my wife with me. We go in, we slang these clean jokes, making people laugh in a level of character and integrity on the stage and off the stage. And you know what? It's on to the next assignment, man. And that's why I always say I'm filling my dreams one stage at a time. But at the same time, you got people, it's like, yeah, I'm a Christian comedian. No, I'm not a Christian comedian. I do clean jokes, but yeah, I am a believer. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
It's, and nothing against anyone who's operating in their convictions. It's just that with me, you know what I'm saying? If I was driving a school bus, I wouldn't tell you I was a Christian school bus driver. You know what I mean? But my point is, I do believe that there are many facets out there that God have all of us fulfilling, and one lane can't knock the other lane.
Yeah.
That makes sense.
It makes perfect sense. How difficult is it for you to function in that world? Telling clean jokes, because it feels like, particularly with comedy and with hip hop, the more ratchet you are, the more rewarded you get in some cases. Sometimes you don't even have to be as talented or as funny. You know what I'm saying? And so just from your perspective, man, like, how difficult is it to really function? Because, I mean, for my listeners that are new to you, like, bro, you be on stage with big time cats, D.L. Hughley, Bill Bellamy, you know what I'm saying? Like, these are recent shows you've done and been rocking with these guys for years, man. So just how difficult is it to function in that world, slinging them clean jokes, as you say?
I wouldn't say that is difficult. We've developed a humor around it, because, like these cats that you just named, DL, they know I don't drink, they know I don't smoke. And it's like, we hit the stage and we may be back, in the green room, or we go to the after party or whatever. And they already know, we know Train ain't drinking that. Get Train some of that water. Give him a cranberry juice. You know what I mean? So, and I think it's real cool, you know what I'm saying, because there's no real pressure because you've already kind of stood your ground, and it's just like it's just like the principles of giving, that the word teaches. There's a possibility when you give one time, you never have to give ever again. You know what I'm saying? Because you gave God your all that first time. You know what I mean? So everything else is just, a caters to what you did before. So it's not difficult at all. And then even on, like, for me, man, I love people, dude. You know what I'm saying? And I don't have a problem with, being around people. The same thing Jesus did, you blend, but don't mix. You know what I'm saying? So it's like, a lot of the things that, people would assume, like, oh my God, you in there doing this, or you in there while they're doing that, or you're, man, listen, you know what I'm saying? Look who Jesus was around, it's like, he hung out with some of the folks that the church would never say you should have hung out with, you know what I mean? But, so it's not difficult at all, but I will say this way, though, I had to grow to that because 16 years ago, I'm sorry, it's been longer than that now, 18 years ago, my wife, we were dating at the time. She was like, you need to be doing stand-up. She was like, you ever thought about doing that? I was like, are you crazy? Are you trying to steal my anointing? Have you been sent by the devil? Because in my mind, where I was, in the Word, I didn't think you could do both. It was impossible to be born again and do comedy. That's where I was. You know what I'm saying? So
yeah, because the whole Christian comedian phenomenon is still relatively new, right?
Yeah, it's new, man. To the point where, sadly to say, the mainstream industry, they don't even make any room for it because, and I understand it from a business side, I understand their decision because in the mainstream, you set them up for discrimination and lawsuits. You know what I'm saying? So I can't bring you in and say, oh, yeah, this is a Christian comedy show, and then it automatically, separate, other people. So they can't do that as a business. You know what I'm saying? So they make no room for the Christian platform. That's why you have, cats, they'll hit the circuit where you got all these conferences and, or a church platform because there it's acceptable, you know what I'm saying, or accepted. And outside of that, you really can't, there's no wiggle room because the industry has no room for it, whereas, the path that, God has kind of dropped me into, it's like, hey, I will still get the glory. You do you. And in doing you, make sure you're honoring me or whatever. Don't do anything on stage that you don't do off stage, And then because of that, I've been welcomed into many facets of comedy, like corporate comedy.
Yep.
I've done mainstream. I'm doing mainstream rooms. I do, the blue collar. You know what I'm saying? I do, I hate that they have this label, but white rooms, you know what I'm saying? And I do the hood rooms, you know what I mean? And my thing is, as a Christian comedian, you're limited. You can only go within a Christian market. You know what I mean? So it is new and to the point where they're really trying to figure out like how to maneuver with it, So
yeah.
I just been trying to do me, man.
How long have you been doing comedy?
5 years, man.
Wow. Okay.
5 years, only 5 years, man.
We was talking about this on Periscope the other day, and just the change that the comedy industry has undergone because of social media. And I don't know if you're gonna remember everything you said, but you said one of the points you made was that how comedians now get booked off of a 15-second Instagram clip when they may not be able or skillful enough to really do stand-up, which is a whole different skill set. But I don't think the general public always sees that. They think, oh, you could, you could act, you could do movies, you could do these little skits on YouTube, you can do stand-up, and that's not the case, right?
Right, absolutely. And, what social media has done, I mean, like anything else, there are a lot of pros and cons that comes with it. And one of the cons, which has been a major con in the industry, is it has been a false representation of stand-up or comedy, shall we say. And like you say, these promoters, they'll book a certain act because it's like they know people in that city or people in that area know this person because of social media. And people from social media is like, yeah, I'm going to see this dude, you know what I'm saying? Or I'm going to see this chick, blah, blah, blah. And they'll show up and it's like, okay, this ain't a 15-second bit right here. This is something that we've edited and cut and pieced together. Now you got to stand flat-footed and you got to deliver a full set for whatever time that, the promoters brought you in, and they're bumming. And then what happens for those of us who are in, true stand-up, we're having to compete with people's expectations that was let down by some of these social media people. And it's like, that's been a real tremendous con in the game. And then word on the street, man, with some of these cats, they're not even bringing in the number of people that these promoters were looking for them to bring in. So the promoters they lose money at the door, on the ticket sales, and they're having people leave griping and complaining because the person wasn't a skillful stand-up comedian. It's like, and people don't understand, just because you see somebody on Vine, on Instagram, or on Facebook, and they got this little skit that they done put together in their computer. Like, listen, that may be funny. It may make you chuckle, but you can't call this person a comedian. You know what I'm saying? And it has really brought some challenges in the game. You know what I'm saying? Because stand-up is hard, brother.
Yeah.
And we've had some of these cats to come off of social media and attempt, their craft at the stage. And, they've said it publicly. Hey, man, I got a lot of work to do. This is a lot harder than I thought. And we're like, yeah, So social media is like, changed the game a little bit. And that's my main thing. It's kind of like misleading the public on what a real comedy show is. Because it set up a false expectation, when they come to the club or when they come to a venue. And it's not, it's like, no, sweetie, that's on Vine.
That's on Vine.
this that stage right here. You know what I'm saying? You got that's that Vine. Right?
That boy said that's all. He said, "Nah, sweetheart, that's all fine."
Yeah, man.
Hey, what?
And then another thing too that social media is like kind of, changed the game is, when we do our set, there was a time, you could do your set, and, you do your set in Chicago and you got another show in Florida and, you do your set in Chicago, things were good. You show up in Florida, do your set, people were good, you know what I'm saying? But now you do a set that's like outside of a mainstream club where, there's nobody in there telling you that you can't record, and all of that. You can't film, you can't record. And you out here doing one of these shows, you up in Chicago slinging jokes, and you got a show in Florida. By the time you get down there to Florida to do another show, they telling you, oh, man, we heard that. Oh, we saw that before. Why? Because somebody done threw you up on YouTube. Somebody done threw your set up, on one of these social media sites, and people don't understand, a comic, when we say we have material, that's exactly what we mean. This is my material. I'm working it out. You know what I'm saying? I'm perfecting it. And once I get it to where I need it to be, then I'll do a special, or then I may throw it up on YouTube or whatever because I never touch it again. But, it's like a masterpiece, man. You're in the middle of creating something. It's like if you were mixing or whatever. And somebody like, oh, man, I passed by DJ Wade Studio. Brother, he was in there scratching up something. And it's like, hey, check it out right here. And you hear like, no, bro, I want to finish with that. Get that down. You know what I mean? So it's crazy, man. It's crazy. So
I've always felt like, man, like that's an interesting dynamic with comics because you guys do have that whole thing of just like guys traveling and they just working out their jokes before the HBO special or before the, whatever the case may be. And I actually think that's part of what makes stand up so great and so raw because, there's not really too many other places where you could publicly see a famous artist in that space doing that. I mean, maybe DJing, but now, man, everybody got these. You got the EDM cats doing their pre-recorded sets, which I think is whack. And then a lot of DJs just play off a playlist. Like nobody just freestyles anymore.
Man, listen. As soon as you tell somebody, you know what I'm saying, you DJ or I do stand up. First thing out of their mouth is, "Oh, we got something on YouTube."
Yeah.
Like,
yeah.
It's the world we live in, man. It's the world we live in, man. Yeah.
It's crazy, man. It's nuts, actually. It's nuts, man.
Yeah. In comedy, any comedian that does less than 200 shows a year is considered an amateur comic.
Wow. 200?
Yes. 200. Anybody that's doing less than 200
So if I'm doing
$150,
I'm still an amateur.
You're still an amateur, man.
Wow.
So they count that as an amateur comedian. Anybody with less than 200 shows a year. All right. So the big boys, what they do they're killing the stage all year long, working out material. Okay? So you've been on stage with this material and you hit the stage before different crowds, before different rooms, let's say at bare minimum 300 times that year or 250 shows that year. Okay? Well, now you're finally at a place where it's like, you know what? I think I got this joke exactly where I need it. You know what I mean? And then what they do is they'll do a special. And then that special, you know, gets picked up or whatever. And then they retire that information. And that's why you can find it on, you know, the social outlets or out in the media, meaning, okay, yeah, man, you heard that bit that Jay Leno did on, you know, blah, blah, blah. You heard that bit that Seinfeld did. You saw this thing that Kevin Hart did. Well, he's done with that. You know what I'm saying? So it's okay for that to be out to the public because he'll never touch it again. But the way it is now, you got people, they'll throw your stuff up and you still working on it. Wow. You know? But they don't know. You know, they don't know. They don't know how this game go.
I was going to say, I've heard some Kevin Hart jokes that made specials that was actually bits he did like 7, 8, 9 years ago when he was coming up, and it wasn't as funny because, to your point, he was still working it out.
He was still working it out. I know you've seen him sitting on that bar stool.
That bar stool is a classic one, bro. Ground. Yeah.
And then look how young he was. I think Kevin's about 19 at that time. Look how young he was when he was selling that joke or working on that joke. You know what I'm saying? And that's what people don't understand about stand-up, brother. You, it takes time, you know, to get this thing. Now, it's admirable, you know, for people to feel like when you give them a show, that's exactly what you gave them, and they enjoyed it so much that they want everybody else to hear it and see it. I mean, that's cool. You know what I'm saying? We appreciate the motives and where it stemmed from in their heart, but at the same time, it doesn't negate that, hey, you're messing some stuff up for me on this end. You know what I mean? Because you got to have time to, you know, hash that puppy out, man. I remember Jay Leno talking about, you know, him being out on the road, and they were talking about this corporation that wanted to bring him in, and he turned it down. And the reason he turned it down, he was like, well, you know, I was just there, you know, like a year ago. He was like, I'm still working on the same, you know, material. You know what I'm saying? He's like, I don't want to go back there. And until I, you know, finish this up. And the people didn't understand it, you know, because they didn't know, like, these dynamics that I'm sharing with you. But, I mean, it's just the business that we're in. If you're trying to do it the right way. You know what I'm saying? If you're trying to do it the right way, you know. And then there are cities out there where you can really get that stage time in and not be a big name. For example, up there where you are, New York. You know, New York got comedy clubs open every day of the week.
Yeah.
The only place in the country that got comedy shows going 7 days a week is in New York. You know what I'm saying? And you got some clubs where they run, you know, like 5 shows in a night. You know, you got your 7:30, you got your 8:30, 9:30, 10:30, 11:30. You know what I'm saying? So you'll have some cats, they'll hit the stage, you know, 40 times in 1 week. Wow. You know, if you get in like a LOL or whatever, you know, the Ha, you know, it's like you get in and, you know, you on this rotation where you've done stage time, man, 40 times in 1 week. Man. You know, put that together in a month. You know what I'm saying? You're getting that stage time in because that's what builds the muscle, stage time. You know what I mean? Yeah. You got to have that stage time. And which changed the game because it used to be you had to respect somebody because of the number of years that they were in the comedy game. But now it has changed a little bit where it's like not only do we respect those who came before us, but we respect those who got more stage time. You know what I'm saying?
That's
It's
good.
like, you've been here, but you ain't working. You know what I'm saying? And the guy that's on that, the cat that's only been here a few years, but he's killing stages.
Yeah.
And you put them on the same platform, you'll see who has been developing their craft a little bit more than the other. So, but that's that whole social media piece, man. I ain't even get into all that. Boy.
No. This is. I think this is good stuff, man. Who are some of your influences, man, as a comedian, bro?
D.L. Hughley, man, and Dick Gregory.
Interesting.
D.L. Hughley, because in my opinion, okay, DL is the only person, the only comic that I've seen operate throughout his entire career and didn't enter into coonery. Just prove to people that he's a comic.
Yep.
Most times as a black comic, if you're gonna be a comedian, it's like, okay, well, do some shucks and jivers, give me something, act silly, do something, make us laugh, And DL, throughout his entire career, even during the Def Jam era, he never entered into some coonery on film, on a sitcom, movie, none of that. On stage, none of that. And he's like, to me, the first guy who gave intellect a sense of humor. And as a young comic in the game, I figured whatever this guy has on his life that will allow him to travel through decades of doing this craft and not entering into some of the things that other people have to enter into just to get a name for themselves, I figured that guy got something on his life that I need.
Yeah.
So that's one of the reasons why I posture myself, at his feet, and just a fly on the wall, man. And then also Dick Gregory, because people don't know, but Dick Gregory predates Richard Pryor. And Dick Gregory was doing things that Pryor, kind of stepped into, but Dick Gregory was already pushing the envelope. Dick Gregory was the first black comedian on national TV.
Wow. I didn't know that, bro.
You know what I mean?
And I'll be on that history,
Dick
dog.
Gregory. Yeah, Dick Gregory, brother. Yes, sir.
Wow.
And he retired in 1973. Matter of fact, it was on my birthday, August 5th, in 73. But he did his last, like a stand-up comedian show or whatever. But Dick Gregory is a pioneer in this thing, and he predates Richard Pryor. So that role that Richard Pryor stepped into with telling society, how it is, what I'm saying, from a political market and just as a black, well, that was something that Dick Gregory opened up, just like your boy for Pittsburgh Steelers, Terry Bradshaw.
Yep.
When he came in, he got the Super Bowl ring, but he'll tell you in a minute, we went to the Super Bowl, but when I stepped on the field, I was just capitalizing on what the other quarterback had already developed. The black guy. He was a black guy and, fell victim to cocaine.
Yep.
And Terry Bradshaw said, this dude is one of the best quarterbacks in the league. But my point is, I look at stuff like that because I believe in history as well, man. But DL, Dick Gregory, of course, Robert Williams, Steve Martin. People they trip on me about my top five, man. They was like, what? Like, man, listen, the jerk, Steve Martin, what I'm saying? That's legendary right there, man. Steve Martin, Robin Williams, what I'm saying, and then of course, Cosby. But
but see, it's crazy. You can't even shout Cosby out no more, dog.
I know it's rough out there, brother. It's rough out there, man. It's rough out there. But even with Richard Pryor, he's on my list as well, but not for the reasons that people think he is.
Yeah.
And I just always been one of those people. Richard Pryor, I gained my strength and standing flat-footed and doing me because of studying Richard Pryor. And if you really if you really look at Richard Pryor's documentary, you'll find out that the Richard Pryor that we know is is not the real Richard Pryor that she wanted to put out. Because when Richard Pryor started out, he was a clean comedian.
Really?
Just like Katt Williams. When Katt Williams started, he was a clean comedian.
Really?
Yes, sir. Richard Pryor was a clean comedian, and the word got through the street that he was trying to be like this guy called Bill. And Richard Pryor got upset. And he went to just doing it the hood way. And like he would try to do things to go in another direction, but the crowd wouldn't let him. The world wouldn't let him. Like even he came back from Africa, and he was like, "I never use the N-word ever again." And the first show that he did coming back from Africa was in Detroit, and they booed him that night. They was like, "Oh, you weren't funny." So he came back the night, and he just gave him the hood stuff, and he went back to doing all kind of stuff. They was like, "Yeah," they applauded that. It's like, that's funny. That's the Richard we want. And I feel like society put pressure on him to do it a certain way, although it may not have been the route that he would have wanted to take. And from that, I've developed the attitude that train, no matter what, you stand flat-footed and you do what you feel like you need to do that's going to bring you peace at night when you step off that stage. So wow. I acknowledge Richard Pryor from the standpoint of gaining strength, I did that growing up in the hood. I would watch what people would do in the wrong direction to communicate to me what direction I really needed to take. You know what I'm saying? So it's the same, reverse psychology with watching Richard Pryor. It's like I saw him fall victim to it, so therefore it just communicated to me to stand strong in this area, and you just do you, no matter what the people say. You know what I'm saying? And like people like Richard Pryor and Marvin Gaye, I really believe that we have yet to see what these guys had to offer the world as a gift. Because even with Marvin Gaye, he wanted to sing ballads like Frank Sinatra. But Barry Gordy told him, no, we don't do that over here because that's not the Motown sound, and that's not what's going to move records. So off from the studio, you'll hear Marvin sing, and the people are like, who is that? It's like, oh, that's Marvin Gaye. It's like, sounding like that? I'm like, yeah, that's how he sings. So, but the industry put pressure on him. Forget what's in your heart. Forget how you're wired. We need you to do it like this. And I'm telling you, man, I really believe that we have yet to hear the real Marvin Gaye, and we have yet to hear the real Richard Pryor because of society.
That's crazy, bro. That is freaking. That is crazy, man. That's blowing me, bro. Like that's really blowing me, man. Let me shift gears for a minute, bro. What do you make of all this Black Lives Matter stuff happening right now, bro?
Oh man, I think it's number one. I hate that we're here. Yeah, because it grieves my heart, man, to see what's happening in the streets on all sides. The political side, in our neighborhoods, on a social platform, and my heart breaks on both sides because I understand where both sides could be coming from. You got people standing up and they're saying, "Hey, man," they're trying to communicate to the African American community as well as the ones who are preying on the African American community, and they're simply saying, "Hey, Black lives matter, dude. You know what I'm saying? We matter as well." So they're trying to say that, communicate that message within the community, so that those outside the community can see it as well. And then you have just a portion, it's not the majority, just a portion of those on the outside, like, no, all lives matter. Well, that's not that's not the direction that the message stems from. You know what I mean? We know all lives matter. That's why we're also saying that the Black lives matter. You know what I'm saying? And while you may stand like and say all lives matter, you know, it's not all lives that are falling victim to the the blows of HIV. It's not all lives falling victim to, you know, the homicides. It's not all lives that's falling victim and falling prey to, you know, the drug abuse. And it's not all lives falling victim and just into this prison system. You know what I'm saying? So from that perspective, you know, that's where the Black Lives Matter, you know, stems from. And I just think, you know, society is doing what this world does. You know, they're not looking at it from an area perspective, and not even forget the area perspective. You're not looking at it from a factual and a statistic standpoint. You know, every year, you know, that's why we rock with the Do Better movement, man. At the end of every year for the last 50 years, at least 50,000 blacks died due to homicide in this country. For the last 50 years. For the last 50 years, we're leading homicide every year. So to stand up and say, hey, Black Lives Matter, and then got to compete with those talking about, no, all lives matter. Well, you're missing what's going on in your own world. They're missing what's taking place, you know. So, and like I say, I agree with knowing that we even got to be here to campaign that. You know what I'm saying? I posted something on my Instagram the other day. It was like, you know, it was this meme that demonstrated that we got to stop killing each other, you know. So I definitely, man, rock with the Black Lives Matter.
Man, that's good, bro. That's good, man.
Yeah.
Hey, Trey, man, what you got? What you got coming up next, man? I know you've been. I know if we talking professional comics play, what is it? How many shows did you say? 250, 200 a year? I know you got some shows coming up.
We got to hit them stages, man. We got to hit them stages. Matter of fact, I'll be at Jazz and Jokes here in Jacksonville at Sweet Peace, Jacksonville, right here in Jacksonville, Florida, on the 25th of September. October 1st, I'll be hosting the Erica Campbell concert in Florence, South Carolina.
Nice.
October 3rd, I'll be in Tampa, Florida, at the Man Behind the Hammer stage play. And October 9th, I'll be at a comedy show here in Jacksonville. October 17th, breast cancer production awareness is taking place here in Jacksonville. I'll be on that show as well. And October 30th, I have a private event. October 31st, I'm closing the month out. I'll be on a cruise, man, slinging jokes on the open seas on the way to the Bahamas. Got booked on a cruise, man. So that was pretty cool. So all of it, every weekend, you know, for the month of October, man, you know, I'm on the stage slinging jokes as well as this weekend. And got some dates that's getting off into November and December as well. But definitely all this month, man, I'm slinging these jokes, baby. So,
man,
yeah. I got a little hump too, man. I'll be doing some traveling, yeah. Because like I say, October 1st, I'll be in South Carolina. October 2nd, I'll be in Pensacola. October 3rd, I'll be in Tampa. And then the 9th, I'll be back here in Jacksonville. And on the 17th in Jacksonville as well. And then the 31st through November 2nd, I'll be on the cruise slinging jokes as well. So, yeah.
Yo, Train, you out here doing your numbers, brother.
I'm just walking. It's all favor, man. It's all favor. And, you know, I definitely give God the glory because at one point, this was just pillow talk, man. So now, you know, God got me out here fulfilling my dream one stage at a time, and I'm grateful.
Man, that's what it is, man. Hey, Train, man, yeah. I really do appreciate you, man. And, you know, man, I'm just praying that the Lord keeps taking you higher and higher, man, because you shining a bright light in a dark place right now, bro.
I appreciate it, man. I appreciate it. Definitely need it, man. I need it and I receive it, brother.
That's it, brother.
Yeah. Keep doing your thing too, man. I appreciate you for having me on the show, brother. And you know, it's always good knowing that you got family, you know what I'm saying, in your corner supporting you.
Absolutely.
You know, while I'm out here in this different terrain trying to do my thing, you know what I'm saying? So it's good. It's good.
God is good, bro.
Yeah.
On the way to